The story begins with our hapless hero, Kaido Takagi, using insect spray to hunt a slime in a dungeon. He successfully kills the slime and collects its core. Kaido is pleased to have finally come up with a name for his insect spray attack. Reflecting on his journey, he realizes it has been 2 years since he started exploring dungeons. Despite his efforts, Kaido is disappointed to still be hunting slimes on the first floor of the dungeon. Having just killed his 999 slime, he feels like a mere mob hunter among explorers. He considers ending his exploration after reaching a milestone of 1,000 kills. Determined, he searches the dungeon for one more slime, noting that the dungeon is equipped with cameras. Kaido then encounters a golden slime, which he deems the perfect prey for his 1,000th kill. He stealthily approaches the slime and attempts to kill it with his insect spray, but the slime dodges. Forced to escalate, Kaido pulls out his insecticide gun and successfully takes it down. Proud of his achievement, Kaido boasts that no one can escape his insecticide gun. However, he is surprised to find that he didn't level up. Checking his stats, he notices that despite the slime being a rare monster, he gained little experience. He consoles himself with the thought that he might sell its magic core for a high price. Upon closer inspection, Kaido discovers that the slime dropped something other than a magic core. It's a servant card, and he can't believe his luck. Examining the card, he learns that it allows him to summon a Valkyrie named Sylphie, who possesses impressive stats. Ecstatic, Kaido thinks his miserable life might finally turn around. He checks to see if anyone saw him with the card and confirms that he's alone. There aren't any cameras in the room either. Realizing the value of his find, he resolves to keep the card a secret from everyone else. He searches the internet for information about Sylphie, but comes up empty. Remembering that Valkyries are supposed to be demigods from mythology, he wonders if he's holding a rare card. Deciding to leave the labyrinth, Kaido plans to gather more information about Sylphie. On his way out, he encounters some real adventurers and envies their armor and weapons. He hopes that selling the servant card might help him fulfill his dream of owning such gear. The scene shifts to Kaido selling the 3 slime cores he collected throughout the day. Each core sells for 500 yen, netting him a total of 1,500 yen. As he prepares to leave, he remembers the card and asks the appraiser about the potential value of a rare servant card, stressing that it's purely hypothetical. The appraiser mentions that she heard of a rare god-type card once being traded overseas for 1 billion yen. Kaido then puts his belongings, including the servant card, into a locker at the facility, dreaming about having 1 billion yen. He leaves the facility with visions of wealth filling his mind, maintaining this daydream all the way to the train station. At the station, Kaido meets his friends Shinji and Hayato. We learn that because they have exploration cards, they can enter the facility anytime they want for free. Kaido reminds them that these cards are not meant for playing in the park around the facility. The 3 of them board the train together. During their conversation, Kaido reveals that he is still stuck at level 3 and suggests they explore the dungeon again. His friends, however, are reluctant. They remind Kaido of their disastrous first attempt as explorers when they ventured to the 2nd floor of the labyrinth to fight a goblin, only to get thoroughly defeated. Although they recovered quickly thanks to a potion, they've had enough of that life. They now prefer playing in the park, and they question why Kaido hasn't grown tired of killing slimes for the past 2 years. Kaido vaguely mentions that he has a lot going on. The scene shifts to Kaido walking home. A girl living next door notices him returning. Later, during dinner, his parents express concern that his part-time work might interfere with his studies. Kaido reassures them that he is managing fine. From the ongoing TV broadcast, we learn that dungeons appeared in the real world 13 years ago. While taking a bath, Kaido contemplates whether summoning the servant he obtained could make him stronger and enable him to explore deeper floors of the dungeon. He fantasizes about the possibilities that 1 billion yen could bring new equipment weapons, and anything else he desires. He is torn between summoning Sylphie and selling the card. The next morning, the scene shifts to Kaido heading to school. He meets the girl next door, Haruka, on the way. They walk to school together, and everyone stares at the beautiful Haruka as they pass by. Not wanting anyone to get the wrong idea, Kaido slows his pace, but Haruka matches his speed, walking alongside him. She mentions seeing him return home the previous night and asks where he went. Kaido hides the fact that he visited the dungeon, instead telling her that he went to a boys' party with his friends. They meet up with Shinji and Hayato along the way, and Kaido privately asks them not to tell Haruka about his dungeon visit. They agree. Haruka asks what they did at the boys' party, and the three friends give different answers, unable to settle on a single activity. This inconsistency angers Haruka, who suspects Kaido went to the dungeon again. Kaido firmly denies it, and Haruka chooses to believe him. Together, they continue on to school. During lunch break, Kaido asks his friends what they would do if they obtained a rare servant card. They quickly respond that they would sell it immediately, as these cards are worth millions of yen, and the servants they summon can only be used in the dungeons. Kaido agrees, saying he would also sell it. His friends advise him to think about it when he actually gets a servant card. In class, while the teacher is lecturing, Kaido reflects on his friend's advice. He acknowledges that they are right. He can't sell the card if he uses it, and he has no guarantee that the summoned servant will be useful. Yet, he feels the need to prove himself to the girl he loves. Later, Kaido returns to the dungeon, seeking an area without cameras. He decides to use the card and become a hero. He summons the Valkyrie named Sylphie, and a giant girl with wings appears before him. However, she soon disappears, leaving Kaido bewildered. He then notices a little girl standing in front of him, who greets him. She introduces herself as Sylphie, the Valkyrie he summoned. Disappointed by her small stature, Kaido feels his dreams of becoming a hero are crushed and regrets not selling the card for 1 billion yen. When Sylphie asks if something is wrong, he assures her he is fine and suggests they go hunt slimes. As they search for slimes, Sylphie tells Kaido she can sense a slime nearby. He is surprised by her ability to detect monsters and follows her to the slime. Realizing her powers are genuine, Kaido decides to test them and asks Sylphie to kill the slime. She uses an attack called Divine Lightning, which is overkill for the small monster. This display of power impresses Kaido, who remembers her battle power is 170, 17 times higher than his. Sylphie then embarrassingly admits she is hungry and will collapse if she doesn't eat. Kaido remembers that servants consume magic cores and feeds her the slime's core, satisfying her hunger. Sylphie senses another slime and heads towards it, but Kaido stops her. He realizes that while she can sense slimes, using her powers to kill them makes her hungry, requiring more magic cores to replenish her strength. He concludes that this method would neither bring profit nor loss. After thinking it over, Kaido asks Sylphie where the slime is. She leads him to the monster, and he kills it with his insect spray. Kaido believes that by using Sylphie's ability to locate slimes and his own method to kill them, he can make a good profit. After killing several slimes, Kaido notices he has leveled up, with his battle points increasing by 2. He also gains a new skill called Slime Slayer, which is awarded to those who have mastered combat with slimes. This skill boosts all of his stats by 50% when fighting slimes. Kaido feels a bit disappointed that his new skill, Slime Slayer, only increases his stats while fighting slimes. Sensing his mood, Sylphie cheers him up by telling him that having any skill is amazing. This encouragement brings tears to Kaido's eyes, and he decides to end his exploration for the day. Sylphie, saddened by the news, asks if he will summon her again soon. He promises her that he will, which makes her happy before he sends her back to the card. Afterwards, Kaido goes to sell the magic cores he collected. The appraiser is surprised at the amount he collected in one day. Kaido explains that he was just lucky to encounter so many slimes. The appraiser tells him that he has set a new record for the number of slimes killed in one day and pays him 15,000 yen for all the cores. Later, Kaido is lying on his bed at home, thinking about Sylphie's amazing power. He considers the possibility of venturing to the second floor of the dungeon with her, though he feels a bit scared about facing goblins. As he drifts off to sleep, he dreams about his childhood. In the dream, Kaido and Haruka are watching the news about Haruka's father, a well-known dungeon explorer. Her father, in a news interview, states that one day he will uncover the truth about dungeons and reveal it to the world, which excites young Kaido. The next morning, Kaido wakes up with a determined resolve. He decides to venture to the second floor of the labyrinth. The scene shifts to him at the entrance to the second floor with Sylphie by his side. Sylphie assures him that she will do her best to support him. As they descend to the second floor, Kaido resolves that one day he will uncover the truth about the dungeons and become a hero like Haruka's father. This brings an end to our episode 1. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to not miss the next part. On the second floor of the dungeon, Kaido is completely terrified. Sylphie asks if he's all right, and though he insists he's fine, his shaking legs betray his fear. Sylphie takes his hand to calm him, and he thanks her, feeling a bit more at ease. They begin exploring the area, and Sylphie senses a goblin nearby. Upon hearing this, Kaido bolts in the opposite direction, claiming he has something to take care of. However, he remembers his dream of becoming a hero, steals his nerves, and asks Sylphie to take him to the goblin. They find a sleeping goblin, and Kaido asks Sylphie to defeat it. She prepares to use her divine lightning, but Kaido stops her, stating that he must handle this himself. He tells her to use her divine lightning only if he gets into trouble. Understanding his resolve, Sylphie steps back. Kaido attacks the goblin with a wooden sword, but the goblin dodges and counterattacks. Kaido defends with his new shield, nearly getting pushed back. He regains his footing and tries to land a blow, but the goblin catches his sword and disarms him. The goblin lunges at him, but Kaido blinds it with insecticide spray, retrieves his sword, and, stumbling, manages to dodge the goblin's next attack and kill it in one strike. Sylphie praises him, and Kaido is nearly in tears from the confrontation. He collects the goblin's magic core, relieved and proud of his victory. Sylphie tells him he did great, but advises him to let her help next time. Kaido agrees and notices he has leveled up, reaching level 5 and gaining a temporary skill called Goblin Slayer. He's surprised that killing one goblin was enough to level up. The Goblin Slayer skill increases all stats by 10% when fighting goblins, but is temporary since he defeated the goblin by chance, reducing the skill's effectiveness. Uncertain if he should be happy about the skill, Kaido is at least glad he won the fight. Sylphie suggests they proceed further, and together they fight another goblin. Sylphie uses her Iron Wall skill to protect Kaido, allowing him to defeat the goblin. The pair continue working together, defeating more goblins, and Kaido levels up again. Curious about the dungeon, Kaido asks Sylphie, but she knows no more than he does. She apologizes for her ignorance, stating that her duty is to be useful to him, which is engraved in her heart. Kaido reassures her, saying they can learn the dungeon's secrets together. Sylphie likes the idea, and they encounter another goblin. Kaido acts as a tank to draw the goblin's attention, and Sylphie defeats it with her divine lightning. Kaido rewards her by feeding her the goblin's core. The scene shifts to Kaido selling the goblin cores to an appraiser. She is surprised it's his first time bringing goblin cores, and he mentions he reached the second floor today. She's impressed that he killed 4 goblins on his first trip, and he modestly claims he got lucky. The next morning, Kaido sleeps late due to muscle soreness. His mother tries to wake him, but he asks for more sleep, unable to move. She advises him not to strain himself too much, On his way to school, Haruka notices Kaido looks tired and asks if he went to the dungeon. He lies, saying he didn't, and explains his soreness by claiming he was trying to work out like a bodybuilder he admires. Haruka tells him not to overdo it, as a muscular build wouldn't suit him. In class, Kaido tells his friends he hunted goblins recently. They're surprised, as he had been hunting only slimes before, and they find it impressive he defeated goblins alone. Kaido explains he's been pushing himself and has gained some confidence, contemplating going deeper into the dungeon. His friends tease that people can do anything for love. Kaido and Sylphie return to the dungeon and discover an unexplored area. They encounter and defeat several goblins by working together. Kaido rewards Sylphie with some magic cores for her hard work, and after returning home, he sleeps soundly. The next day, Kaido hunts goblins again, now armed with a tungsten rod instead of a wooden sword. Exhausted from frequent dungeon trips, he falls asleep during class. Determined, he returns to the dungeon, defeats a goblin with his new weapon, and finally reaches level 10. Sylphie praises his rapid progress, and Kaido notices a significant boost in all his stats. He also unlocks a new skill called God's Blessing, which boosts stat increases upon leveling up, depending on divine favor. He wonders if this is an overpowered skill and bows down to Sylphie, thinking she might be the god connected to the skill. Sylphie tells him to stop bowing and takes his hand, expressing her happiness to work with him. Kaido reciprocates, saying he's glad to have met her, making her happy as well. She states she's lucky to have him as her master. While exploring further, they encounter a glowing skeleton. Kaido thinks it must be a rare monster and wonders if Sylphie's God's Blessing helped them find it. The skeleton attacks, and Sylphie protects Kaido with her iron wall. Kaido's attacks are ineffective, so he asks Sylphie to use her divine lightning, which kills the skeleton in one strike. The skeleton drops a rare red magic core, different from the usual blue ones, and Kaido assumes it's because the monster was rare. Sylphie, hungry after using her spells, receives the red core from Kaido as a reward. She finds it tastier than the usual cores. Later, Kaido learns from the appraiser that red cores are worth around 2 million. Although devastated by the loss, he realizes Sylphie deserves the reward for her hard work. Despite his financial setback, Kaido acknowledges that Sylphie has helped him immensely, transforming him from a nobody. He considers moving to the 3rd floor of the dungeon, aware that monsters there appear in groups, so he must prepare thoroughly. The next day in the dungeon, Kaido tells Sylphie he wants to fight alone for a while. Sylphie, worried she might have upset him, is reassured when Kaido explains he wants to become stronger and not be completely dependent on her. He tells her he considers her more like a younger sister than a servant and wants to build their relationship. Sylphie is overjoyed, and Kaido wonders if he can call her Syl to show his affection. She happily accepts the new name. A goblin appears, and Kaido asks Sylphie to watch as he defeats it. She wishes him luck. Later, Kaido is in the appraisal room, badly injured from the fight. The appraiser advises him not to push himself too hard, and he buys a potion to heal himself. Back at home, Kaido reflects on how expensive potions are but acknowledges their necessity for reaching the 3rd floor. He decides to stock up on magic cores for Sylphie and kill slimes for a while to gather funds. Using Sylphie's detection ability, he kills as many slimes as possible. Kaido later tells his friends that he's killing slimes again. They think he's back where he started, but he explains he's doing it to gather funds. Haruka hears about the slimes and takes interest in his activities. Kaido thinks of a way to divert Haruka's attention. He tells her he wasn't talking about slimes, but about sliced cheese, explaining that eating sliced cheese with bread is heavenly. Haruka agrees with him, and the conversation shifts. Later, we see Kaido back in the dungeon, killing slimes and gathering enough cores to fund his exploration of the 3rd floor. Sylphie then senses something strange nearby. and Kaido discovers it's a silver slime. Believing this encounter is due to Sylphie's god's blessing, he suggests they fight it together. They battle the slime, and Sylphie defeats it. As a drop item, Kaido receives a servant card, which can summon a Viscount-class devil named Luceria. He wonders if it's safe to summon a devil, but is excited about having both a god and a devil by his side. When he summons the devil, he is surprised to see a giant demon girl initially, but she soon transforms into a smaller form. He is disappointed that she doesn't look like the beautiful girl depicted on the card. They introduce themselves, and Luceria immediately criticizes Kaido, thinking he seems unreliable and not very smart. Sylphie, protective of her master, isn't fond of Luceria's attitude, but Luceria tells her not to worry as all demons have foul mouths. Sylphie accepts this explanation. Luceria inquires about Sylphie, noting that she looks like a Valkyrie. Sylphie confirms she is Kaido's servant and looks forward to working together. Luceria feels the same and asks Kaido for some cores as she is hungry. Kaido refuses since she hasn't done anything yet. Just then, Sylphie spots a slime nearby, and Luceria smugly steps in, using an overpowered attack called Hellfire of Destruction to obliterate the slime. Kaido gives her the core as she demanded. Still unsatisfied, she asks for more, but Kaido tells her he doesn't have any left. Luceria thinks of him as a cheapskate and reluctantly agrees to use another attack, Breath of Erosion, on a goblin after Kaido promises to give her more cores later. She melts the goblin with this attack, and both Sylphie and Kaido find it too gross to watch. Kaido gives her the magic core, and Luceria enjoys its taste, suggesting they explore lower floors for tastier cores from stronger monsters. Kaido, however, insists they need to prepare with new weapons and supplies before descending further. He asks Luceria if she is familiar with the dungeon, and since she isn't, she agrees to follow his lead. Kaido suggests they go to the third floor the next day, as Luceria might be tired today. She denies being tired, but agrees after Sylphie advises her to listen to their master. The next day, the three of them head to the third floor. Kaido has bought a crossbow as his new weapon. Sylphie thinks it suits him well, and Kaido mentions that it was quite expensive. Luceria dismisses the price as unimportant. They then encounter two hellhounds. Kaido shoots at them, but misses, and the hounds attack. Sylphie protects him with a barrier, and Luceria uses Hellfire of Destruction to kill them. Kaido feeds her a core, but she demands the other one too. He refuses, needing to save some cores, and promises her an extra core if she kills more monsters. Luceria warns him not to break his promise, threatening to send him to hell if he does, which scares him. They then face two wild boars. Luceria uses Hellfire of Destruction again, but only kills one. The other boar charges at them. Luceria prepares another attack, but Kaido stops her, opting to shoot the boar himself. His first shot isn't enough to kill it, startling him and causing him to fall. Sylphie tries to help with her divine lightning, but Kaido manages to kill the boar with another shot. Sylphie praises him, but Luceria mocks his fear. Kaido realizes he has leveled up to 11, and Luceria asks for more magic cores. Later, we see Kaido leaving the dungeon, worrying that he won't make any profit if he keeps feeding all the cores to his servants. On his way out, he overhears a party of adventurers talking about reaching the 6th floor without any problems, and he notices the party consists of 3 girls. The scene shifts to Kaido in class, pondering the possibility of his party reaching the 6th floor of the dungeon. He feels confident they can achieve this if they work hard. Daydreaming about their progress, Kaido's classmates wake him up, surprised by his carefree attitude. They lament their own struggles to earn enough points for their desired schools. Kaido, however, remains unbothered as he hasn't decided on a school yet. Haruka overhears the conversation and asks Kaido about his school choice. Unsure, he asks her first, and she reveals she plans to attend Aoka Academy. She wonders if he will join her there, and, lacking a better idea, he agrees. Haruka is thrilled they will attend the same school again and leaves to help a friend. Kaido is puzzled by her happiness, and his friends tease him for being oblivious. The scene cuts to the labyrinth, where Kaido and his servants kill monsters one by one. Unlike Sylphie, Luceria frequently demands more cores, and Kaido complies, much to Sylphie's quiet discontent. Kaido doesn't notice her feelings, but when he asks if something is wrong, she stays silent. He senses her unease but can't pinpoint the issue. At home, Kaido sees his mother watching a drama on TV, depicting a similar situation to his own. Realizing Sylphie might feel anxious about Luceria, he worries this could lead to a conflict between his servants. The next morning, he meets Haruka on the way to school. She notices his tiredness and offers help, but he hesitates to reveal his troubles. Instead, he explains his two friends have befriended girls with clashing personalities, keeping him up all night. Haruka suggests he talk directly to the quieter girl, prompting Kaido to summon only Sylphie in the dungeon. Sylphie blushes, thinking he wants to be alone with her, but is less enthusiastic when he brings up Luceria. Kaido asks if she dislikes Luceria, but Sylphie denies this, admitting she found Luceria intimidating at first, but now appreciates her kindness. Kaido insists on knowing if anything bothers her. Flustered, Sylphie admits she feels neglected as Luceria receives more cores and attention. Kaido realizes she is jealous and promises to treat them equally, including giving Sylphie as many cores as Luceria and spending more time talking to her. Sylphie is pleased, and Kaido immediately starts honoring his promise. Later, Kaido praises Sylphie's well-timed attack, and Luceria demands similar recognition. He obliges, making Luceria smug. They encounter a wild boar, which Sylphie defeats, leveling up and significantly boosting her stats. Luceria congratulates her, and Sylphie then takes out 3 hellhounds with a single attack. Kaido is impressed by her newfound strength. Another wild boar appears, and Sylphie shields everyone with a barrier. Noticing the barrier's increased durability, Kaido stops Luceria from attacking and handles the boar himself. He feeds Sylphie some cores, but Luceria is unhappy about her inactivity. Sylphie softly asks for more cores, and Kaido realizes her increased appetite from leveling up. He exchanges cores for money at the appraiser, who remarks on the reduced number of cores Kaido brought lately. The next day, Kaido kills slimes on the first level, having defeated 25 so far. Sylphie praises him, but Luceria complains about not fighting. Kaido explains he needs to save magic ores, and Luceria questions her purpose if she can't fight. Sylphie expresses her contentment in supporting their master, and Kaido appreciates their support. Luceria, despite her tough front, is pleased but hides her feelings. After selling the slime cores, the appraiser asks if something is wrong, noting Kaido only brings slime cores. Kaido explains he's revisiting the first floor, and the appraiser, puzzled, suggests he should be ready for the 4th floor already. The scene transitions to Kaido browsing the internet for better equipment, as he feels ready for the 4th floor physically, but knows his current gear isn't adequate. He contemplates purchasing new armor, and finds an impressive suit made of carbon nanotubes. However, it's far beyond his budget. Determined to make more money, Kaido heads back to the dungeon. He encounters a blue metallic slime, attributing this rare find to Sylphie's god's blessing. Hoping for a valuable servant card drop, he directs Sylphie and Luceria to surround and attack the slime. The slime is swiftly defeated, but instead of a servant card, it drops a magic orb. Kaido explains that this orb can help him master a spell and become a wizard. He smashes the orb on the ground, gaining a new skill called Water Ball. Eager to test his new ability, Kaido searches for a suitable target and spots a hellhound. He instructs Sylphie to cast a protective barrier and tells Luceria to be ready to finish the monster if his spell fails. Sylphie creates the barrier, and Kaido launches his water ball at the hellhound. Unfortunately, the attack does no damage. Luceria quickly kills the hellhound before it can retaliate. Disheartened by the ineffectiveness of his magic, Kaido is consoled by Sylphie, who praises his ability to use magic at all. Luceria wryly remarks that at least he won't have to worry about drinking water. Kaido laments not selling the magic orb instead. Later that night, a dejected Kaido sits in a park, where Haruka finds him. She asks why he's out so late, and he nearly mentions his new magic skill, but instead changes the topic, talking about a recent movie that disappointed him and his friends. As they walk home, Kaido learns that Haruka was returning from cram school. He thanks her for her advice, which helped resolve his issue. She suspects the problem might have been about him, not his friends, but he denies it. As Haruka heads to her house, Kaido wonders if she was upset with him. He muses if Haruka might be jealous, similar to Sylphie, but dismisses the thought, thinking it impossible. This brings an end to our episodes 1 to 3. If you enjoyed it, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more anime recaps.